Welcome to the February 2014 Project of the Month. We get a lot of questions on how to dress our critters and our animals because we have a lot of fun clothes and things like that for them. And there are two ways to do it. I'm going to basically show you masking and then show you the way we pretty much dress them all, which isn't masking. I'm going to start off by masking, which is layering one image in front of another, by masking this little business hat on the zebra. I'm going to take my quick drying pad for watercolors, my black, and I'm going to stamp my hat, and then I'm going to take and stamp it on a scrap piece of paper. Doesn't matter how good the image is, just need the shadow of it. And I'm going to take and cut out the bottom of it. And basically what this is going to do is the unwanted portion of our zebra stamp is going to end up on this mask. Back to my black ink pad. If you're worried about your mask slipping, you can stamp it on a sticky note and stick it down. What I don't particularly like about masking is it's not real precise on getting everything to line up. It wasn't too bad, but you can see the zebra's ears are on the mask, so he looks like he's under the hat. Where masking gets a little tricky is if you want to put the hat on him, a belt on him, and a pair of shoes on him, trying to get them to all line up. So what we choose to do most of the time, out of the way, is what I like to refer to as the paper doll method. I'm going to start off using our dorky bird. It's that guy. It's a bird of very big heart and very little brain. And here is the card we're going to do. Now, to do the masking method, to try to get the mask inside the bird would be tricky, and also get it underneath the feathers and get the shoes on at the same time. So what you do is stamp your bird and color him. I used Tombow watercolor markers, and then stamped my bunny slipper, and stamped my nose mask and my coffee cup. And then I'm going to start off by cutting out my bunny slipper. Cut in there. And if you need to color it in after you're all done to block out some white area, you can do that once you start layering things. Alright, excuse me. Oops, I'll cut out between his ears here. There we go. Away. So, and then I can layer those so they cover up his feet. You want them overlapped more. What's nice about doing it this way is you get more precise on where you want things. If you want his little nose to be turned that way, or he has a more quizzical look looking that way. And then to get the mug on his feathers, you take the mug, and I took an X-Acto knife and cut out the inside of the handle, so you can see my fingers there. See the little handle opening, and then take your X-Acto knife and cut around the feather. Pop it up. There's the feather. And then we take, I can get it popped up. There we go. Slide the mug under the feather. And you would have your mug on there. And then the curlers on this guy are one of those old-fashioned pink sponge rollers that every little girl has had the joy of wearing. And you chop it up, wrap it in floss or yarn, and everything's sliding around. and just stick them down. So then you would have your dressed dorky bird. Okay, let me slide him to the side. My curler. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is our little dressed elephant. And again, to mask the hat and the shoes and to get the tie on there would be a little frustrating. At least I find it frustrating to try to do all three. You could mask one and then do the other two separately, but I just like having the ability to put them exactly where I want them. So I have the shoes, and when I do the shoes, I don't cut out between the bows completely, because if I did, you would see the little bit of his feet. So if by just cutting a little V, it leaves the bottom of his tummy and the white space, so you can look like he has legs going into the shoe. If you want, you can also leave a little outside on the bow to cover any extra lines. Got that. And then the hat is just like when we made the mask, except for now I'm saving myself a step. It's just done. Okay, put that on. I want it turned more that way. Now to get the tie on there, you could just glue it over, but then you lose his tusks. So I'm going to go back to the X-Acto knife, and I'm just going to cut around his tusks, underneath his chin, and around the other tusk. Just takes a moment. Okay, go around the tusk. Goes off for the moment, and basically what I've done is created a slit under his little trunk that you can slide the tie up under there and then glue it down to his tummy. So if you look at the back, you can see where it's slid under there. So you have your little tie on there, your hat, and your shoes. Whatever character you want to give him. Maybe he's had a sad day. Hats over his eyes. So there's your little dressed elephant. Okay, we're going to have fun. One of my favorite animals, and that is the giraffe. We got her, again, doing everything paper doll method. I could mask the bow on there, but this bow I made dimensional. What I did is I have my bow, fold up the sides, grab a little bit of white sticky, put it on there, peel it off, stick it down, and there's a little dimensional bow. Now the shoes, again, I'm leaving this center section between the socks solid, and I should say white. I'm not going to cut it out. And I'm going to take and leave a little bit of white on the other side of the sock too. Just going to cut around this quickly. Bottom. Just about done. And on the other side of the sock. And then you can put that over. And the reason I left that little bit of white is I can make the legs a little bit longer. It covers the hoof. If you cut that out, then your legs need to be shorter. So you can slide your shoes. This is a little ballerina skirt, all cut out, and you would slide it on her little waist. And then the purse, I took and cut it out, and then took the X-Acto knife, cut out the center of it, Now you could take and try to cut off part of the handle to make it look like it's behind her little hoof, but the easiest way is to cut around the little hoof, like that. Pop the hoof up, slide your purse on, and glue everything down. So there's your little dressed giraffe. And if you want to pop it off the page a little bit more, you can see it just a little bit. There's a fine gray shadow around everything. That's just a gray marker. Excuse me. Okay, we have our giraffe. The next one's a fun one. It's our Handyman lion. Well, he's got a couple different layering things going on. And everything is all cut apart. Here's our boots, and our tool belt, and our hard hat. We also have the plunger, of course. Now the boots, since his toes are a little bit wider, I am going to take, and this one you can't quite tell, but I've left from this bottom buckle down the white of the card, and from the bottom buckle on the other side I also left the white, and I left the white in between his feet. That way it covers that outside edge of his toe, otherwise you would see it more. Like that, and you have his little boots. Hat, the hat would be easy to mask. If you felt like masking one item, you would just stamp the hat, stamp it on a piece of paper, cover it up, stamp the lion. You got that. Now, to put the tool belt, if you want, you could put it so it's underneath. Maybe his tool belt's riding a little low. You could put it below his paws. If you wanted to make it look like he's hanging on to it, back to the little knife. Go around it. And I'm going to go all the way around this paw. So we're going to be tucking more things under it. Got our tool belt all cut out. It takes a little bit to cut the tool belt out, but not that much. We need to cut a little more on the outside of his paw. Remove the hats off. So you would take your tool belt, tuck it under his paws. You could put it in a fun angle if you wanted. Maybe it's fallen off on one side. Then we have this little plunger. Rather than try to mask that on there, and all of this we just glue down with a glue stick. You can stick a little plunger under his paw as well, and then glue his paw down to hold everything down, and glue the plunger down, and you have your little Handyman lion. And it's a lot easier than trying to figure out how to mask those things under his hands. Next two can be a little trickier with the shoes. We have our little lady zebra. She's got her little sparkly, or not sparkly, but red shoes, her little skirts, her beads, and her little hat. Now, to get her skirts on her, one doesn't necessarily fit. But what I did is I took the edge of one and I cut it off and overlapped them so it looked like one larger skirt. And then you take, rather than trying to make it fit around her little hooves, cut little little slits. There we go. Move those off. Pop up her little slits. I can't pick up the card. Tuck her skirts under. And then glue them down where they overlap, and there's her little skirt that fits her better than just one. Now the beads, those you just cut out and glue on. You don't have to tuck them underneath anything. The hat, depending on if you want her ears to show or not, this one if you leave it up, you don't have to worry about cutting in between all the little berries. You just leave the hat a little bit higher so her ears don't show. If you want her ears to show, you just take and cut a little bit. You don't have to get real tight, so you would add a little bit of a gray shadow to cover it. And cut in there. Or if you wanted to really add fun, just add some little wire and berries and things like that. And you would take it lower, and you can see her ear behind it. That's a personal preference, depending on what you want to show. Now her shoes can be a little bit trickier. When I cut out the shoes across the bottom, I like to leave the area on the inside of the heel white and the area between the backs of the shoes white. I don't cut those areas out. And I go underneath the shoe and around the top. Okay. All right, there's our shoe. Now obviously we need to get them on her feet. Do is decide where I want them on her feet, and I'm just going to take my X-Acto knife and mark the back of the heel a little bit, and take my scissors where my little slit is and cut out the inside of the shoe on both sides. Can find my slit on this side. I think I might have missed it a little bit. But you'll get the idea. Okay. And then you would take and tuck that on her feet. And you could color this front section a little bit darker to make it look like her hooves are down into the shoe. If you wanted to extend the line out with a pen, and there she's wearing little red high heels. Okay. We're going to do the same thing. Now, a flapper fox. Same idea. We have our little flapper headband, our shoes, and our flapper skirt, and of course her beads. Now her beads, if you wanted them, I suppose you could have them on the front side of her paw. That's not as fun as having the layered look. So I'm going to go in and cut around her paw. And you can put any clothes. If you decided you didn't want a flapper fox, you could have a handyman fox. Put all the handyman clothes, so I can't pick up the beads. And you'd slide your beads underneath. You gotta cut it over just a little bit more. See if I can get it. There we go. Slide your beads under her paw, so she's holding her necklace. Cut out my little flapper headband. Stick it on her head. Now the skirt, that is easy enough. My garbage. Cut it out. If you wanted to, you could actually add fringe or glitter to this. Get a little more wild and crazy. Now depending on where you put it, the skirt is not necessarily as wide as the fox's body. So I'm going to take, cut around her paw. You could take two skirts and overlap them, just like I did with the little ballerina skirt at the zebra. This one you take, cut around her paw, slide the skirt a little bit higher, and you would glue it down, and there she is hanging onto her skirt. Now her shoes, I took in the toe area and already colored it orange because her feet need to go down in there. And take my X-Acto knife, it was a little off on that one, and mark where her heel is. And then cut out that inside. Cut around the shoe. Same thing I did at the zebra, I'm going to leave a little more white at the bottom just to cover the toes, just in case the bottom of her foot shows. Okay, where is my mark on this side? Right there. Cut out the inside of the shoe. And then you put it in there. You could color her foot a little more orange if you wanted to extend the line out. And there is the little flapper fox. She's got her skirt and her beads and her shoes. Now sometimes you want to have a taller creature. In case of the dorky bird, his or her legs are one set length. This is one of the last things I'm going to show you. Is the dorky bird. And I want to put, oops, I can get a hold of him, this pair of shoes on there. But depending if I wanted them longer, her toes stick out. If I wanted her real short, I could get most of her feet to cover up. So what I like to do, got her almost all cut out, is I just take and cut all the way around her without her feet. And then you would take however long you wanted her. You wanted her that tall, and you would take and draw little lines all the way up. And I forgot to grab a pen, but you get the idea. So if you wanted her really short or really tall, you would just put her shoes wherever you wanted them, and then glue her body down, maybe after you stuck a purse on her wing. And that's it for the projects for February 2014.